Welcome back. You're watching the news from Kazakhstan. I'm Max Bagashev, and these are the top stories. 5 men linked to terrorist attacks in Taraz last autumn have been sentenced to prison terms ranging from 5 years to life. Meanwhile, state TV channels started broadcasting anti-terrorism PCAs. The government of Kazakhstan has officially raised the maximum retail price for the most popular gasoline brands. And Kairat Yerdibayev and Kanat Ibragimov, detained for 15 days following their participation in the Decent March, were released on Monday. Bakhitjan Japarov, one of the men linked to Taraz terrorist attack last year, was sentenced yesterday for life in prison. The court found him to be the head of a terrorist cell responsible for 7 deaths in southern Kazakhstan in November 2011. 4 other defendants in the case received terms ranging from 5 to 20 years in prison. Japarov is charged with terrorism and inciting social, national, racial and religious hatred. He was also accused of creating a terrorist cell, illicit possession of firearms, stealing and extortion of guns and murder. On November 12, 2011, someone named Maksat Kariyev, who was later found to be a jihad follower, caused a gunfight in Taraz, which resulted in the death of 7 people, including civilians and 5 police officers. During the detention, the terrorist detonated a device, killing himself and special motorized police battalion commander Captain Baitasov. Later, police officers were presented state awards posthumously. Several state-run TV stations have started airing an anti-terrorism PCA based on the Taraz attack, sponsored by a major local company. The title of the video can be roughly translated as "There are no people who are not afraid, but there are those who will not be intimidated."
Есть те, кого не запугать.
Almaty-Helsinki committee chairwoman Ninel Fokina questions the very idea of creating this video. She says it is very unprofessional and looks like another attempt of the authorities to draw people's attention away from more topical issues such as the trial over the mass riots in Zhenozhen. There are no commercial elements or ideological content, nothing that makes a professional TV spot. This is just some uneducated and unprofessional people producing some junk.
New details about the case of the failed terrorist attack in Almaty on March 24 have surfaced on the internet. A little-known website, total.kz, continues to surprise users by releasing information considered classified on a regular basis. On Monday, the site published a conversation between 2 men, followed by a comment from an investigator who said the people on the video could be related to the preparation of the Almaty attack. Previously, total.kz distributed a video showing a man confessing about the planned explosions. The controversial video that has been all over the state-owned television channels and social media continues raising more and more questions. The video showing the interrogation of an alleged terrorist was leaked by the internet portal total.kz, which appeared out of nowhere. A man in the video confesses that he was offered $50,000 for each of the 4 explosions he was to carry out in Almaty, which allegedly were orchestrated by the ex-bank and politician Mukhtar Ablyazov's close affiliates. According to his testimonies, the man was supposed to place the bombs away from the crowd's way. It seems like something is missing in this story. On March 28, the General Prosecutor's Office had published a press release in which it stated that Alexander Pavlov had received $25,000 for organizing the attack, of which only $15,000 was given to the executor, who would then get paid the rest after completing the task. So it appears that criminals got an advance payment of only $15,000 of total $200, according to the testimonies of the man on the video. Why the figures presented by the law enforcement and the witness don't match, wonder many, including human rights activist Ninel Fokina. In her practice, she has many times witnessed when extremism cases were instigated and followed with close trial. Can you imagine a person who agreed to conduct a terrorist act for $25,000, of which 15 is paid in advance? Look, the investigation is carried out by the National Security Committee, and when that happens, normally they don't even let wives of suspects to visit them, so forget about a journalist getting access to the interrogation videos or any chance of such things ending up on the air. What does it tell us? That the video was leaked on purpose. That was about the secrets of investigation. After all, the man wasn't yet brought to court and not ruled guilty. The Total.kz editorial staff doesn't seem to really care about the secrets of investigation as it is, unless someone asks questions about the controversial video. Local editors are rather reluctant to talk about it, while it appears that the video was deleted right after moving to traditional broadcasts of mainstream media. Well, since we are distributing it and it appeared here, we believe it deserves the attention it got. I will not tell you details of our work here, and I don't think it's necessary to explain how and who gave it to us. This is not an official comment, as we don't give official comments. Aliya Truzbekova, whose petition to see her arrested husband, opposition leader Vladimir Kozlov, had been rejected for about a month by the National Security Committee, shares similar position. The wife of the Alga party leader, who is also believed to be financed by the Nazarbayev's opponent Mukhtar Ablyazov, suggests that the ban on the visit is also linked to the alleged terrorism prevention case. It's not clear to me, and I still cannot understand, considering everything, including the fact that the room where we normally meet is filled with video and audio recording equipment, and the NSC committee personnel are there. It's impossible to pass anything at all. Long-lasting isolation from her husband had forced Truzbekova to make an official statement on Monday. The wife of the opposition claims she carries no important data to pass on to her husband, while Kozlov himself can only reveal that NSC investigators have no evidence to prove his guilt. Mukhtar Ablyazov, the main opponent of President Nazarbayev, has left the UK due to several reasons, including a possible assassination attempt. The ex-banker revealed this information in an interview to website Respublika. According to Ablyazov's sources, Kazakh security forces have been ordered to physically eliminate him. In the same interview, the politician gave his comments about the charges of allegedly financing a terrorist cell and the supposed involvement of his supporters in plotting the failed Almaty attack. Ablyazov says this is a provocation on the part of the authorities, who now want to use foreign intelligence agencies against him. Even the way the investigation of this case is carried out indicates falsification. Usually terrorism cases are labeled top secret, but this time it's the opposite. As soon as perpetrators gave their testimonies, it was immediately reported across all media. This type of investigation suggests that the main purpose here is not the exposure of alleged terrorists and not the investigation itself, but the propaganda campaign against the opposition. In his interview, Ablyazov notes that these far-fetched allegations have a goal to eliminate political opposition. It's linked with the Zhanaozen events, as it was Muratbek Ketibayev, now accused of terrorism, who made a speech in the European Parliament after the December riots. He blamed the current authorities for the tragedy. This has resulted in the MPs rendering quite harsh resolution over Kazakhstan. At the same time, the former head of the BTA band commented on the situation of his arrest in London. Ablyazov says he disagrees with contempt charges and has already filed an appeal. At the same time, he believes that the verdict on his arrest for 22 months is the matter of bargaining between Kazakhstan and the UK. Just a day after the decision against me was announced, Nazarbayev met Tony Blair, who presented his report in Astana, and the judge who made the ruling was promoted to his position during Blair administration. Some analysts believe I am bargaining chip in the big game. In exchange, Astana allowed the presence of British military in Kazakhstan. The family of Mukhtar Jakishev, the imprisoned former head of the Kazakh Khatemprom, questioned the choice of his new attorney, Gulmira Shaldykova. The information was revealed in an interview given by Jakishev's daughter, Aygerim. The family of Mukhtar Jakishev are wondering why an inexperienced lawyer with just 1 year of practice was appointed as his attorney. Despite the lack of experience, she was able to gain access to secret documents and familiarize with 58,000 pages of case materials, all within 3 weeks' time. Aygerim Jakishev also noted that last time she saw her father was on January 3, and since then the court is not allowing any new dates. The daughter of the former top manager posts updates about her father through the recently created Facebook group. and she says this is another attempt to attract attention of Kazakh and international communities to the classified case. The trial is still ongoing, although my father and his lawyer boycotted. The only lawyer appointed by the National Security Committee attends hearings, even though she has not received a permission from my father. She just talked to him once, and I have no idea how she is able to defend him, since she never communicates with her client. The lawyer also claims she familiarized with the entire case, even though there are numerous volumes in it written in the span of 3 years. It's just unreal, so I think there is something off about this lawyer, and the process is rigged. To recall, Sarayarka District Court of Astana had recently launched the trial over the second criminal case against Mukhtar Jakishev. The first hearing was held on April 2. As before, the hearings are closed and details of the investigation are classified. The already sentenced to 14 years in prison on corruption charges, the former president of Kazatomprom refused to attend the new hearing. Alla, the daughter of a well-known Kazakhstan billionaire, Alexander Mashkevich, the former president of the Euro-Asian Jewish Congress and the ENRC owner, is getting married on June 6. The oligarch-style wedding is planned to be held on Côte d'Azur in France. According to Israeli publication Isrus, the extended guest list includes well-known billionaires from Israel, Russia and Ukraine. The groom comes from a religious family of Tunisian Jews, while the bride Alla Mashkevich was born in Kyrgyzstan, studied in Brussels and then London, where she now resides and heads a family charity fund. Forbes estimates the wealth of Alexander Mashkevich at $2.8 billion. Another Kazakh billionaire, Vladimir Kim, is rumored to be leaving his position as the head of Kazakh MIS. The talks of the oligarch stepping down from his senior post caused speculation about the reasons for such move, even if it will happen eventually and not immediately. According to Forbes, Vladimir Kim, whose personal wealth is estimated at over $4 billion, is said to be the richest Korean in the world. During the Stalinist purge, his family was deported to Kazakhstan, and after the Soviet Union collapsed in the early 90s, he started working in Kazakh MIS, which eventually helped him make a fortune. In 2010, the entrepreneur pledged 11% of his corporation share to the Kazakh government. This March, the rumors started circulating that he is planning to retire. Political scientist Maxim Kazinachev considers the scenario quite realistic. The decision might be motivated by withdrawal from responsibility for the somewhat strained social situation in Kazakhstan, along with exhaustion of natural deposits in the region. The expert draws parallels to the events that took place in western Kazakhstan on December 16. In the current situation, a single industry town without a working enterprise makes the area a de facto depressed region. When a local economic mainstay stops functioning, the town is sure to have no further development. That's why it makes sense for Vladimir Kim to resign from his post as soon as possible, thus disclaiming the corporate social responsibility Kazakh MIS bears before the region. The 11th day of the trial over Zhanaozen and Shetpe violence saw more victims retracting their material claims. Around 15 people testified on Monday, including 2 police officers from Shetpe. The initial demand to recover the compensation for damages from the accused was not withdrawn, although identification of those responsible went with complications and was completed using only circumstantial evidence. The rest of testifiers, including local businessmen, salesmen and managers, retracted their claims. Judge Aralbay Nagishibayev partially granted petitions of 2 lawyers, Talgat Zaktaganova, who asked the court not to admit in evidence the testimony of police officer involved in the interrogation of defendants during the investigation, and Abdurrahmanov's attorney, who asked for a doctor to be present at the hearing on Tuesday, since his client has tuberculosis. The petition will be considered by the court upon provision of corresponding certificate from a prison medical department. 153 victims have been questioned so far. In my opinion, there are several legal conflicts requiring clarification, but certainly there are some faults. In consequence, there is a misconception. None of the defendants have been recognized or actually caught in act, which means none of them caused any damage personally. The issue of media coverage of the Zhanaozen events and last parliamentary elections was recently discussed by the president's political advisor Yermuhamed Yertisbayev and the head of Freedom of Speech Fund, Adil Söz Tamara Kaleyeva. The talks were held as part of an Internews project.
President's advisor Yermuhamed Yirtysbayev praised Kazakh journalists and said that most of them are quite reasonable people. These words were immediately followed by an explanation. That's because they cooperate with the government. The revelation was made by Yirtysbayev during the tapping of the Sayges program produced by Internews Kazakhstan. However, when questions about the government's responsibilities for Zhanaozen events and escalating witch hunt were raised, the advisor immediately accused the media of something even more serious than political bias. When I'm told by journalists that I'm venal, I always recall the words of Henry Ford, who used to say that an honest journalist sells out just once. I may be assumed to have sold out politically once, but you, the journalist, sell yourself out 1,000 times a day. Nobody escaped negative feedback by Yirtysbayev during the lengthy polemic. Labor unions are disjoint, media advocates fail to assert their interests for controversial bills, and the opposition press is tendentious and biased. The advisor also resented the fact that everyone in a tiny town of Zhanaozen had their own satellite antenna and watched K+. Yirtysbayev even drew an analogy with the revolutionary Iskra newspaper in Russia, having mentioned that unfortunately this problem was not tackled in time. Another guest in the studio, Adil Sosfand head Tamara Kaleva, objected that official media and government officials stonewalled the situation in Western Kazakhstan. I believe that state media share the responsibility for the negative consequences, as they were hushing up the strike for the whole 7 months. Opposition media were the only ones to report about oilers protesting, dismissals at the square, and about zero response from the government authorities. The journalists are no strangers to the scathing attacks from Yirtysbayev, nicknamed Akordan Nightingale. Yet another unflattering statements, however, caught Darkhan Abdik on the row. A recent host of the Tema Dnya program on the Astana TV channel has noted that Yirtysbayev admitted the ruling party Nuratan as the only political party in the country owning an information holding company. In this light, it is not clear where all this pondering about objectivity comes from. I guess there are men that think that one time doesn't count, but I believe that one time does count. It's the right to criticize and impute venality to others. But who exactly is he trying to blame? The journalists and TV channel executives assigned by the current government? Mass media is business, says Abdik, and that Kazakh people are attracted to alternative media or opposition media, as defined by Yirtysbayev, means the official sources do not provide exhaustive information. This is something the government, with its large majority of media sources under control, should blame itself for. The way out would be to replace the current TV management, although Abdik admits that even the newly appointed staff are unlikely to change anything unless they cross the bounds established by the political elite. And that's why Yermuhamed Yirtysbayev will remain the only one to have sold out once.
Activists arrested on March 24 during the March of the Dissent were released on Sunday. Kairat Yirtysbayev revealed that he was placed in a cell with ill people, which is a violation of the law, and added that he is still planning to attend the next rally scheduled for April 28.
We pursued only one goal: to support people in Zhanaozen and to cheer them up. We told the city administration, people and police not to arrest or beat us, as we would voluntarily submit after the rally was over. Such harsh treatment in front of people is just an attempt to intimidate and suppress. Infamous artist Kanat Ibragimov was also released the same night. As soon as he was arrested, he launched a hunger strike. According to the artist, policemen actually feel that the regime is going to fail soon, therefore they treat political prisoners with respect. Ibragimov also believes that when the time comes, the police will join people. However, he was reluctant to confirm his participation at the upcoming rally. After Kasanov and Abilov were charged for their words about participating in the upcoming event, as an experienced conspirator, I will not tell anything. It is obvious anyway. I just want to say that such actions should go on.
A video involving several village officials is now used as a base for prosecution inspection in the Pavlodar region. The footage of civil servants accused of power abuse and corruption was made by the local 57-year-old businessman Mikhail Barsukovsky.
2 months ago, Mikhail Barsukovsky uploaded a 20-minute video, The Octopus, to the internet. The name is a direct reference to a popular 80s miniseries about Italian mafia, so the short draws a parallel between criminal world and the work of rural officials. Barsukovsky says that Sherbakty district authorities and law enforcement bodies abuse their rights and protect each other. Lawlessness reigns in the district and there is no justice at all. People disappear, administration heads drive around drunk and do not pay taxes. I can name a lot of reasons that made us film this short. Mikhail Barsukovsky informed the regional prosecutors about the existence of the video. Officers promised him to look into the facts in short. Together with specialists of the authorities, state bodies, we are investigating facts in the video and other claims of Mikhail Barsukovsky from Sherbakty village. I cannot give more details at the moment. The 57-year-old villager is not afraid that people from his video may go to law, as he believes the facts shown are irrefutable. Nevertheless, some think otherwise. For instance, Nikolai Ushakov, Sherbakty village head, is already working on a civil suit against Barsukovsky. There's not much to say. I'm going to file a suit to protect my honor and dignity. I was slandered, and that's why I'm preparing a civil suit. Meanwhile, the Regional Department of Internal Affairs has already initiated a criminal case against Mikhail Barsukovsky, who is charged with slander. According to DIA press service, the civil activist allegedly slandered a local policeman, accusing him of drinking while on duty.
Kazakhstan's car owners were unpleasantly surprised on Sunday after learning about the rise of gasoline prices. Government representatives explained their decision to allow the rise by the trends observed on the global markets.
The fact that gasoline prices have changed was noticed by many drivers only on Monday morning. This has long been expected, and finally the price for the most popular type of gasoline went up by 6 tenge during the weekend. A liter of regular unleaded gasoline now costs 75 cents. The prices went up for lower quality gasoline and diesel fuel as well. A decree in price limit for gasoline was published on the website of the Anti-Monopoly Agency, which took into account the adjustments of the Oil and Gas Ministry. In the past, Minister Sauat Munbayev has repeatedly promised to keep the prices down. Now, following the price rise, he made excuses on the go, saying that people should also understand suppliers' motivations, since wholesale ceiling prices are now higher than retail ones. Obviously, no one is going to supply it at the current price of 83 cents per liter, as no one wants to operate at a loss. The price depends on the state of the market. We cannot enjoy fixed prices forever. Prices will always be affected by market conditions. Sauat Munbayev also added that in general the situation with fuel is under control. While talking about the price level, he says it is tight but acceptable for economy. Meanwhile, car owners showed their dissatisfaction about the math of state officials, just as it was expected. Of course, I don't feel happy about it, because it is an essential product and its price rise will trigger a rise of prices for other products. It's no good. We're an oil producer and have tuned up the infrastructure, but we still have to put up with high prices for low-quality gas. I've heard that our oil refinery in Pavlodar city is being repaired. I guess that's the reason for the rise. It's bad. I'm pushed for money. There's nothing one can do about it. We're going to write something, protest against it. I hope others will support us. No one knows whether the new prices will stick for long, and the Oil and Gas Ministry gives little reason for optimism. Sauat Munbayev seems to confirm the prediction of Russian experts, who say that gasoline prices within the customs union will shoot up to $1 per liter following Vladimir Putin's inauguration in May.
A video of collapsing apartment block in Karaganda has appeared on the internet. The multi-story building folded on Friday, and luckily all of the residents have been evacuated on time.
Ужас! Ужас! Sırdım. Ne var ne nasıl? Bizde ne oldu? Bizde ne oldu? Bizde ne oldu?
Following the collapse of the building in Karaganda, the regional governor ordered the inspection of all recently completed constructions for corresponding to quality and safety regulations. In the meantime, the now homeless residents of the collapsed block are still waiting for the results of the expert commission.
Employees at Geotechnical Engineering Institute are examining the soil in the area where the residential complex Bisoba had been built. They are to come up with the instructions on how to consolidate the subbase under the remaining 5-storied buildings and whether the subbase consolidation is technically feasible at all. As for the unfinished building, specialists say it is surrounded by water and the water has nowhere to go because there is no drainage system in place. Experts are now checking the building for tilts. Their goal is to set the residents at ease. People are concerned since another building collapsed nearby. Meanwhile, the workers are cleaning the debris. To avoid looting, video cameras have been installed across the area. The building residents watching closely from their windows say that video cameras will only prevent the furniture and household appliances from being stolen. See those 4 workers over there going through the rubble? One of them found a plastic bag, took something out and it gave it to another worker, who put it in his pocket. Local residents are reserved and reluctant to talk. They say that they have already been approached by men in plain clothes who warned them against making fuss about the situation, with the threat that otherwise the authorities will look into the way they managed to find out money to buy apartments in the luxurious residential area. We hope that we will get the help and the building will be consolidated. Everyone is scared now and sent away their wives and children to live with relatives or elsewhere. It is really a state of uncertainty here. We don't know anything. The prosecutors are demanding to initiate a criminal case based on power abuse charges and say they will punish all those responsible. The prosecutor's office in Karaganda region will take all due measures to put all responsible officials on trial for signing an unfit building into commission. The incident of a collapsed building is now on the agenda in Astana. The head of the construction agency spoke yesterday about the Bisoba episode. Every tenant builder must bear personal responsibility. Nowadays, buildings are put into commission based on the acts signed by 17 to 20 individuals who are not directly involved in construction. We introduced personal accreditation for technical inspection and field supervision, so the license is no longer required, and now every person will need to be accredited. The expert committee working data on the collapsed building will be made public on Wednesday. The expert group decision will determine the fate of the residents who had suffered in the accident. According to the data obtained, the families will be informed of the compensation amount and whether the new apartments or financial compensation will be provided.
This is all we have time for now. Thank you for watching and goodbye.